Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Welcome to EDDIE-FICATION, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
So summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and mature products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini-mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Eddie Frederick, where good values make great radio.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, 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 folks. Welcome to Edification 293 on this, our third Sunday of November, the penultimate month of 2025. Look at how fast this year has just disappeared. Vision is at the heart of leadership, folks. If you remove vision from a leader, there is nothing left. Absolutely nothing left. You see, no sticking today, as we have lots to discuss. Before we do, though, I'll just ask you the usual favor. Share, comment, like, love, react, interact as you do. For those of you on YouTube, do the same and hit the subscribe button so that you can get your notifications readily. Just a short reminder, I have 2 pages on Facebook, with one of them easy to follow, so you can be notified when lives are on. So let's get started today. Folks, share the life as we embark on our discourse surrounding vision and leadership, designed, of course, to be serious, but punctuated with light-hearted moments. Let's just call this segment, "A Leader Without Vision is Just a Tour Guide." A tour guide to the poorhouse, and will lead you to become totally vulnerable. Folks, we've had that experience here already in Grenada, and we're not going back. So welcome to this important segment of this weekly call to conscience that helps you to navigate your leadership journey and spark positive change. Remember, folks, I am the 8th day of the week, coming to you with consistency, regardless of the reaction of whoever. I have lived long enough to know that I have more years behind me than I would ever have ahead of me, and therefore plan to live the rest of what's left unfiltered. Regardless, of course, of the reactions of the guilty among us. Lies may travel fast, you know, folks, but truth arrives and stays. It was Albert Einstein who gained fame by saying, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." Just Wednesday last, I recall telling you, by way of my thought for the day, the truth sounds like hate to those who can't handle the truth. Isn't that interesting? Truth sounds like hate to those who can't handle the truth. We have a situation in Grenada, folks. Everything I say on this program via this medium is totally incontrovertible. You know what's the problem? Me saying it. A lot of you would do well to realize that some people did not disappear from your life just so. Since you shifted frequencies, you're not reachable on the regular channel that they used to easily find you anymore. It was George Bernard Shaw who said, "Hatred is the coward's revenge for being intimidated." The cruelty many Grenadians underwent between 1995 and 2022, for the most part, is how weak, unqualified people pretended to be powerful. Look at them today, lowly and scared in actuality, but spitting fire from the gutter regularly to maintain a persona of power. I am so happy that my travels of the last 40 years took me to this point, where I can safely agree with Jean de La Fontaine. Quote, "All the brains in the world are powerless against the sort of stupidity that is in fashion." Unquote. I've known too many a man who are really good people, and there is always some fool who will make them out to be a bad person, bad people, just because they stood up to them and didn't let them manipulate them. You see, this could very well include people who share DNA with you. So be on your P's and Q's and pay attention. Too many people among us who can't find their peace come around to mess with ours. Stay away from these inherently negative people, folks. But I want you to listen to the following very carefully. Listen to this. I once knew of this individual who you can find in everybody's funeral and even social gatherings, mostly not invited, playing the part of coordinator or chief usher. So much so, people are so fed up with that individual that when they have a funeral of one of their loved ones, they are hoping that this individual will not show up and play that role. That individual knows better. But in perpetually seeking relevance, especially since their role as head of the platoon that gave regular pleasure to PRAs back in the days of the revolution, before it was disbanded and they are no longer relevant, they have switched to become a public nuisance. I make no bones about my commitment to truth and history. As I have already told you, history is not about opinions, but a chronicle of truth. What has actually happened without color or shade. The revolution of 1979 to 1983 was the system and period in Grenada's post-independence reality that came closest to the answer for the true and genuine development of our people to make us truly independent. Another truth we have come to calculate is that since the disbandment of the said revolution, the only two people who proved their commitment to the entire process were Bernard Cord and his dear wife, the late Phyllis Cord. Just look around you and see what has happened to many of the so-called revolutionaries. They melted into the mundane activities of modern empty society and fell for the love of money and material. Sad indeed. So many of them got absorbed by a political system that could not hold a light to the revolution when it comes to the focus of that system on people's true north development. With the benefit of hindsight, we who have been living long enough to be able to compare then with the extended period of 1995 to 2022 for the most part, would be hard-pressed to disagree that these people were truly not genuine, and the said revolution could not have succeeded beyond its 4 years and 7-month existence with these flip-floppers on board. You see, there might be one or two others who may be suited to be categorized with comrades Bernard and Phyllis Cord when it comes to being genuine about the revolution and never lost their souls. But I can't say I can identify for myself any other than those two comrades. It was too easy for the many of them to melt into the morass and rudderlessness of modern politics in our post-revolutionary period. For people who ought to know better, to be so easily moved to turn to the climate of visionlessness, steeped in corruption, looking for what's in it for themselves, as we who pay attention have been able to see. They had to be wicked people from the outset and were only pretending. Reagan had a right to use the nearly 1,000 medical students as an excuse to come and put an end to that in truth. I said what I said, full stop. And you know by now, controversy is my middle name. Could you imagine the head of the platoon in the PRA that had chief responsibility to pleasure PRAs are all over the place supporting openly Satan's grandson while branding decent citizens evil and the devil? They seem so confused. Among these same people is one in particular who jumped in front to scuttle their brother, blood brother, DNA brother, who was the rightful inheritor of a certain part of the estate of a certain local dignitary upon her passing. Tricked the brother and ended up in front, even as that one had absolutely no relation to the deceased. These are the kinds of low life that you can find around the precincts of, where? The National Nasty Party. And they want to tell you they're coming to rescue Grenada while calling decent Grenadians evil and the devil. I always say to people, getting near me ain't easy. I don't crave friends. I don't chase crowds. I am not trying to impress anybody. I am cool by myself. I want people from my past all the time to understand that they do not know me anymore. That person they used to know, gone, died, as their low frequency, terrible energy and vibes are no longer around to attract what they used to receive from me. And so since that cleansing of all they came with from my system, the old me is gone, never to return. So you see, the real flex is letting people talk about the old you while you're busy evolving, growing. You see, some people call talent upon themselves that they do not really have. The less the talent, the more pride, vanity, and arrogance they have. All these fools, however, find other fools who applaud them. I always tell people that none of us need revenge. The people who do us wrong usually carry ugliness inside so heavy that they collapse under the weight of their own behavior. Many of you would do well to understand the mantra of Denzel Washington and appreciate that when a man starts walking alone, it doesn't mean he is lonely. He, in fact, is finally dangerous. He's been betrayed, lied to, used. He's seen loyalty turn fake and promises shatter like glass. But that did not destroy him. Even if that may have been the intention, it merely woke him up. Now his trust is changed. He doesn't belong to crowds anymore. He instead belongs to purpose, peace, and authenticity. He's finished with chasing attention. He has turned to building in silence. You might look at him and see loneliness because you are still with the crowd. And you proceed to mistake his silence for sadness. Trust me, folks, you're wrong. For what you call isolation, he calls focus. He has no interest in impressing anyone because he is building an empire quietly, patiently, and relentlessly. His greatest fear is never in being alone. It is that of wasting his life on fake love, false friends, empty loyalty, which are very prevalent these days in Grenada. Please don't mistake his guard for a cold heart. He's not unkind. He just learned the hard way that being too kind leaves the deepest scars. That's why he protects his energy like gold. That's why he moves alone. Not because he's lost, but because he's finally been found. Folks, be okay with some people never liking you because your spirit irritates their demons. Be you anyway. You see, leaders never allow themselves to be distracted by noise, especially from the gutter. They remain focused on the mission, and with consistency, never mind how long, they have the effect of running water, cutting through mountains from its source to its final destination. Folks, vision is at the heart of leadership. If you remove vision from a leader, there's nothing left. Let's take a little break and we come back with some more fire.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
Hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Life is lovely, eh, folks? Folks, welcome back. For those of you just joining, for those of you who late, you know exactly what position to take in the class when you come late. Punish yourself. Sit at the back. Keep quiet. Let your body language show that you're apologizing for being late. Fortunately, you can always go back and listen to this program. Now, today you're invited to sit back, relax, get ready for more of your strong dose of heavy authenticity through this big, bold statement. Vision is at the heart of leadership. If you remove vision from a leader, there's nothing left. I'm sure you consider these strong words. It sounds a bit like if you remove the chocolate from the brownie, you will just have a sad, tasteless, cakey square. To help us unpack this, if you are someone who will still eat that cakey square, you are an optimist. That's leadership right there. Finding the opportunity in the disappointing brownie. Let's dive in. What do we mean by vision? You see, this quote is pretty absolute. Nothing left. Before we get to that, let's define our terms. In a leadership context, what are we really talking about when we say vision? Is it just a typical PowerPoint slide with a mountain and an arrow pointing up? I wish it were that simple. For we would have saved a lot of consultants. No, a true vision isn't a poster on a wall. It's a living, breathing narrative. It's a compelling picture of a future state that is better than the present. It answers the question, where are we going and why should we care? It's the North Star that guides every decision, big and small. In fact, the place that, what should I say, doing well in Grenada by both their vision and mission are the ones that are doing well by way of maintaining structure and standards. And these places, among them, folks, Spice Island Beach Resort, Netherlands Insurance, Belmont Estate, Corp Bank, National Insurance Scheme, and that's just to name a few. So folks, it's not just a target. Increase revenue by 15% is a goal. But democratize access to clean water for 1 million people? Or create the most intuitive, user-friendly smartphone on the planet? Hello, those are visions. You see, this is exactly what we mean. The goal is the what. The vision is the why behind the what that will take us to the where. It provides meaning. It's a difference between saying, team, we need to move these 50 boxes from point A to point B, and saying, team, inside these boxes are life-saving supplies. When we get them to point B, we're going to change a community. Which team would you rather be on? If you choose the second one, you're absolutely on the right track. You feel part of something. You see, vision is the engine of motivation. Us Grenadians, we need to choose to be on the team where things happening. What about the nothing left argument? Is it too harsh? So let's get to the heart of the quote. It says, if you remove that vision, there's nothing left. That seems harsh. But what about other crucial leadership qualities? And you know what these are? Integrity, communication skills, and don't you ever forget empathy. But are they really nothing without vision? That's a provocative stance by way of question. And I think its power is in its exaggeration. Let me put it this way to you. All those qualities mentioned are absolutely vital. Integrity, communication skills, empathy. They are the limbs, the muscles, the voice of leadership. But vision happens to be the heart. You can have strong limbs, but without a heart to pump blood to them, they'd be sluggish. And in the end, useless. A leader with immense empathy, but no vision, is a wonderful therapist. A leader with flawless integrity but no vision is a trustworthy accountant. A leader with incredible communication skills but no vision is a captivating speaker with nothing important to say. A leader who delivers scraps off the table of consistently lavish meals for himself and close associates is a thief gone wrong. You see, these leaders become a manager of the status quo, not a leader of change and transformation. So the vision is the thing that organizes and gives purpose to all those other skills. Bingo. You see, folks, it's the organizing principle. Think of a ship captain. They can be most skilled navigator, the most inspiring commander, and have the utmost integrity. But if they have no destination in mind, no vision, they're just taking the crew on a very well-managed cruise to nowhere. Eventually, the crew will mutiny or get really bored. That is like mutiny due to existential boredom. Not a great headline. So in that sense, without a destination, the skills of the captain are rendered somewhat pointless, useless. You see, sure, the purpose is diminished. The skills are applied to maintenance, not to progress. And leadership, at its core, is about moving people from here to a better there. What about cultivating your vision? A practical guide some of us should need. Goodly folks, let's say someone is listening and thinking, okay, I get it. Vision is crucial. But if I don't have a world-changing Steve Jobs level vision, what do I do? How does an aspiring leader or even a leader in the middle management role cultivate a compelling vision? First, take the pressure off. A vision doesn't have to be a cure for cancer. It can be for your team, your department, your small business. Start by asking 3 questions. What is the frustration? So you have to look for the friction, the inefficiency, the unmet need in your sphere of influence. Next question. What is the possibility? If that frustration was solved, what would it look like? How would people feel? How would things be made better? And the third question, what is our unique role? Given who we are and what we're good at, how can we bridge that gap? So as you can see, it's part observation and part imagination. Talk to people, folks, while you're at it. Your vision shouldn't be developed in a vacuum. Your team has incredible insight. Listen to their frustrations and their hopes. A vision is co-created, not decreed, as we would have seen and experienced with a national organization for years, where what the inferior leader said goes. Well, in this case, we have to say went. And be prepared to iterate. Your first draft of a vision might be like that first draft of a novel. Pretty rough. That's okay. That's very okay. You see, it's less about lightning bolt of inspiration and more about diligent gardening. I am sure you love that analogy. You plant a seed of an idea. You water it with conversation. You weed out the parts that don't work. You nurture it until it can stand on its own. What is the one thing I would want for you to remember about vision and leadership? Folks, just remember that vision is not a luxury for few at the top. It's a fundamental responsibility of anyone who seeks to guide others. It's the gift of context that you give to your team. It turns a task into a mission. And without it, you risk leading people efficiently down a path that leads nowhere. Like between 1995 and 2022 for the most part. With it, you can achieve extraordinary things. Without it, you end up poor and vulnerable. So to bring it back to our topic, while a leader may have many wonderful qualities, without that heart, without that vision, they simply aren't fulfilling the core function of leadership, which is to point toward a better horizon. Do you therefore think a leader without vision has nothing left? What's the vision that's driving you right now? Folks, keep navigating, keep sparking change. But this takes us to a very important question here, folks. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is highly regarded as a leader of vision whose recent introduction to politics, after being massively successful in the legal profession, prepared him for service in our local politics. How does his performance shore up his vision? What are some of his standout moments? Folks, this I'm sure will prove to be an excellent question that moves from the theoretical to the practical application of leadership vision. Here's a detailed analysis of how Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell's performance shores up his vision and his standout moments. Participatory democracy and new energy. Before assessing his performance, though, it's crucial to restate the vision Deacon Mitchell campaigned on, which was a direct contrast to the established political order back then. A break from old man politics, moving away from the top-down paternalistic style associated with long-serving leaders like his predecessor, Satan's grandson. Youth empowerment and inclusion, actively engaging young people and citizens in a process of governance. Rooted development, focusing on self-sufficiency, particularly in agriculture, and building the economy from the ground up, rather than relying solely on large-scale foreign investment and handouts. Accountability and hands-on leadership, promising a government that is among the people, transparent and directly accountable. But how his performance shows up his vision? You see, his actions in office have been deliberate attempts to translate this vision from rhetoric into reality. The shoring up happens through consistent, often symbolic actions that reinforce his core message, something his predecessor was never capable of. And don't talk about the selected successor of this old geezer. Absolutely not. You see, the hands-on persona, walking the talk, is always important. Walking the talk. This is the most consistent thread of his premiership, and directly shows up his promise of a new, accessible kind of leader. Unlike the traditional stale and expired predecessor, who appeared only for orchestrated events. Young Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is frequently photographed and reported at street level, not just visiting, but working. This includes direct disaster response, being on the ground in casual attire, assisting with cleanup and assessing damage immediately after floods or storms. This reinforces the image of a servant leader who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. Juxtaposed him with his predecessor immediately after Hurricane Ivan devastated Grenada. He was nowhere to be found. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell was head cook and bottle washer throughout the night of the passage of Beryl. Now that is leadership. What about unannounced site visits? Showing up at hospitals, schools, and project sites without the fanfare of a formal delegation. This actually signals a commitment to seeing the real, unvarnished state of affairs and holds public servants accountable. How it shows up the vision? It makes the abstract idea of new energy and participatory democracy tangible. It actually tells citizens, I am one of you, and I'm here working with you, directly countering the old man politics of the past. What about policy focus? Aligning action with ideology. His government's policy priorities are chosen specifically because they align with his vision of rooted, self-sufficient development. The agro-processing plant, as last suggests, this is a flagship project. His government has aggressively pushed to revitalize agriculture, reduce the massive food import bill, and add value to local produce. This isn't just an economic initiative, it's ideological. His vision is not to just spend money in agriculture. His vision is to invest money in agriculture. But how does this shore up the vision? It physically roots his vision in the soil of Grenada. It moves beyond talking about self-sufficiency to creating infrastructure for it. This action directly supports the vision of an economy less dependent on external forces and more resilient from within. But there's also a new approach to governance: decentralization and inclusion. He has taken steps to change how government functions, moving beyond who is in charge to how they are in charge. Look at the reform of Spice Mask, Grenada's Carnival Committee, or whatever you call it. While the rollout was controversial, the intent was truly revolutionary. The government sought to professionalize the management of the festival, ensure artists and band leaders were paid fairly and on time, and position culture as a serious economic sector. But how does this shore up the vision? You see, this action directly operationalizes youth empowerment and participatory economics. It tells the predominantly young people in the creative sector, your art is valuable, and this government will structure itself to ensure you get your due. It's a practical example of including a previously informal sector in the formal economy. But there's a symbolic break with the past, which helps to change the tone. His performance includes deliberate symbolic acts that reinforce the break from the past. But what are some of the standout moments? Based on all that I've said so far, several moments have come to define his leadership. The 2022 election victory, the sheer scale of the NNP's defeat, losing 6 of the 15 seats, having come from 15-0, with shortly after 1 defecting, was a historic standout moment for a rookie political leader. It was a powerful mandate for his vision of new energy, proving that the electorate was hungry for a change, hungry for the change his youthful presence embodied. But what about on-the-ground disaster response? Post-flooding, images and videos of the Prime Minister in rubber boots, directly engaged in clean-up efforts, are potent visual symbols that have become synonymous with his hands-on leadership style. This is a recurring moment that reinforces his brand. The launch of the agro-processing plant. This project is a concrete, physical manifestation of his vision for food sovereignty and rooted development. Every speech he gives on it, we could say, is a standout moment that ties a specific action to his broader philosophy. The Spice Mass Reform Initiative, despite the controversy, the very attempt to reform a beloved national institution, was a standout moment. It demonstrated a willingness to take political risks, to implement a vision of a more structured, equitable, and profitable cultural industry. You see, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell's performance shows up his vision because his actions are deliberately chosen to be symbolic of a larger philosophical shift. He understands that to be seen as a leader of vision, every photo opportunity, every policy launch, every public appearance must tell a consistent story. The standout moments are those where the connection between his action and his vision is clearest. The hands-on disaster response, new style of leadership, the focus on agriculture, rooted development, and of course the engagement with the youth and creative sector, participatory democracy and new energy. So even when execution is imperfect, the intent consistently circles back to animating the core vision that got him elected. This consistent alignment is what solidifies his reputation as a visionary leader. Folks, didn't I tell you? Vision is at the heart of leadership. If you remove vision from a leader, there's nothing left. Let's take a little break and we'll come right back with a lot more where that came from.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and Mini Mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, folks. Wonderful. Now, for those of you just joining, please welcome. And of course, do the honorable thing. Hit the share button. Let's get some more people in the room so that they can share in this wonderful experience we are having here today. Because truth be told, somebody's got to do what I do. I chose to do it, and we give God the praise for that, because it takes a man with a lot of guts to do what I do. And that's no lie. That is no lie, folks, because it's not easy. It is really and truly not easy. Now, welcome back. Could a fake Christian and an inherent liar measure up to Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and his vision? Come on, folks, let me see. Answer that. Could a fake Christian and an inherent liar measure up to Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell? You see, it is understandable to have strong feelings about political figures and, of course, the democratic process. However, we should really and truly hasten to add that character-based judgments about anyone opposed to Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, such as labeling them a fake Christian or an inherent liar, could be completely based on experience with such people's very behavior. You see, this type of attack directed against a person rather than the position they are maintaining attracts and facilitates their penchant for lack of interest in good governance, policy, and
Summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat.
Sorry about that. And leadership. Folks, you see, the more constructive approach would therefore be to focus on a comparison based on observable actions, policies, and public records. So here is a framework for how one could assess and compare the two leaders in a substantive way. Instead of focusing on personal characteristics, which of course we will all find out is like comparing chalk to cheese, we can evaluate both leaders based on the core aspects of political leadership we've previously discussed. Clarity and execution of vision. You see, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, his vision is centered on participatory democracy, new energy, and rooted development. His performance is measured by his hands-on approach, agricultural policies, and attempts to reform cultural institutions. Opposition leader and selected temporary replacement for the old nastiness. The key question is, what is her defining vision for Grenada? How does it differ from the government's? Her performance would be measured by her ability to articulate a clear, compelling alternative for the country and to present coherent policy critiques. A strong opposition vision might focus on economic stability, experience, or a different approach to development. But it's so unfortunate. Nothing in those directions has been forthcoming, except projections and baseless accusations from the Lally drain. She has no message and therefore attracts no traction, as can be easily observed. But what about effectiveness in the role? You see, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell's role as head of government, his performance is measured by implementation, delivering on promises, projects, managing the economy, and administering public services. But what's the opposition leader's role? The job is fundamentally different. Effectiveness in that direction is measured by ability to provide robust scrutiny, holding the government accountable in Parliament by challenging legislation, exposing poor administration, and demanding transparency, none of which is done with any measure of scholarship or good intent. In fact, the opposition leader is known to be absent from Parliament with flimsy excuses, had a minor accident, showing videos or whatever it is of having had to do an X-ray, as if to rehearse eventual permanent absence from how to be out of the people's chambers. Present credible alternatives now, offering well-researched policy options that differ from governments, but that's not to be. That's above their pay grade. Unite and lead the National Nasty Party, managing internal divisions and presenting a united front to the public. You see, the real and natural successor to the old nastiness, having left the National Nasty Party after this selected replacement via a carefully crafted selection process, you see, that has been having the effect of defections from the party, encouraging the real and natural successor to be launching today the movement which we should join to wish well. You see, democratic conduct and public discourse. This is where the concerns alluded to about the democratic process could be examined substantively. A productive analysis would look at the transparency and internal party procedures used in her selection as leader, her commitment to democratic norms in her rhetoric and actions, whether political debates are focused on issues and policies or devolve into personal gutter and lally drain attacks. You see, moving forward with a constructive analysis to ask, can she measure up is a valid political question, which her daily performance or lack of traction has been shoring up consistently. However, the answer for me is sought in the arena of ideas and track records, not in personal allegations. It's quite interesting. But you see, a serious comparison would involve analyzing the Hansard records of parliamentary debates to compare the substance of their contributions, comparing their stated policy positions on critical issues like climate resilience, economic development, and healthcare, assessing how each handles criticism and engages with political opponents. Ultimately, the measure of any leader, whether in government or opposition, is their commitment to the public good, the clarity of their vision, their integrity in action, and their respect for democratic institutions that they serve. You see, the citizens of Grenada will be the final judges of which leader, through their demonstrated actions and policies, best meets that measure. We can't forget, folks, vision is at the heart of leadership. If you remove vision from a leader, there's just nothing left. But when you're going to have a leader who is going to be surrounded by lolly drain gutter snipes, folks, you need to look carefully at all the various gutter sniping that you see on social media. Save and except for 4, 5, or even 6 real people that are alive and you know are alive, all the followers of those comments and commenters are fake profiles. Well, how could you run an existence as a political leader on fake profiles? There's one in particular, stop commenting in their own person now and establish a page, but same language. You could make them with mud. It's so sad. And these are the low quality of people that want to come and run country. Folks, we have to stop that. We have to section these people where they belong. Folks, look at how forceful I could come. No fake profile. And you get them coming with all sorts of fake profile to see if they could throw mud on me. Remember Malona? I want no friends because who I have already. Nothing could be said about me that wasn't said before that could hurt me. I have an indomitable spirit. If any of you knew who my mother was, you would realize when this apple dropped, it never rolled. Indomitable spirit. I am strong in who I am. I know who I am. And I don't care. Anybody who shares DNA with me would know, don't ever try to take me and play no fool with me, because you are all getting excommunicated. That's how I live. Forthright and forthcoming. I tell you already, I have less years going forward than I have that have already been used, you know. Isn't that interesting? It's amazing. And I intend to go forward with whatever is left of my life, unfiltered, unmoved, So try somebody else because I don't care. But on another but important issue, why is it that some people who know they do not measure up seem to feel faking their qualifications, in fact, qualify them to do what they want to do? And when they are discovered to be the fraud they are, cry foul, as if to portray themselves as the victim of bullying. Do such people really have a mental problem? It would appear so. Goodly folks, faking credentials and accolades is becoming too frequent an occurrence these days in Grenada. When human resource managers at any business enterprise discover this, whether from an applicant or an already employed person, they must expose them as part of the consequence of dishonesty. You see, the question originally raised is an excellent and deeply perceptive question that gets to the heart of a complex psychological and social phenomenon. The short answer is that while this behavior is often pathologized, are they narcissistic? It doesn't necessarily mean the person has a clinically diagnosed mental illness. However, it is almost always a sign of a significant psychological issue or personality defect pattern. Let's break down the why behind this frustrating behavior. Why they believe faking qualifies them. You see, this first part of the behavior is rooted in a combination of cognitive biases and personality traits. Grandiose sense of self, narcissistic traits. The belief they are so special and deserving that the normal rules don't apply to them. Their inherent brilliance or destiny means they should have the position, so it's justified to shortcut the process. The ends, they being in power, justify the means, faking credentials. You see, this isn't just high self-esteem. It's a fragile, inflated self-view that is disconnected from reality. They believe their potential or their self-perceived genius is the real qualification, not the documented skills. But what about entitlement? I deserve this more than others, even if I haven't put in the work. The world owes me this opportunity. This leads to the justification of unethical behavior. Taking what they feel entitled to doesn't feel like stealing. It feels like claiming what is rightfully theirs. But what about the Dunning-Kruger effect in a specific form? You see, while the classic effect is about overestimating one's ability, here it manifests as a profound underestimation of the value of genuine expertise. They believe that social savvy, confidence, and manipulation are the real skills needed to succeed. From their perspective, they are qualified because they've mastered what they believe truly matters, the game of perception. And no one will be allowed to take that from them. Cognitive dissonance resolution. You see that internal conflict? I am not qualified versus I am in this role. Instead of admitting the truth, their psyche resolves the discomfort by creating a new narrative. I am so talented that I can succeed even without the traditional qualifications. My unique approach is what makes me valuable. The faking is thus mentally reframed as a strength. not a weakness. Interestingly, these people usually have a checkered past and would like people to believe they have changed and made all the necessary adjustments, even though they proceed to fake getting through with their tomfoolery. You see, as part of their con, they prey on a wide audience that never pays attention and whose very lack of paying attention to details serve as a shield for their sympathy that they depend on when exposed. But why do they cry foul and play the victim? This is the defense mechanism that kicks in when their fragile self-construct is threatened with the truth about their lie, which they themselves have started to believe. That's where it becomes pathological now. It's a predictable, almost scripted response. The intelligence of the enlightened cause these cons to get comfortable to foist themselves on society. Could you imagine all along several people, among them senior people in the financial sector, neighbors, victims of irregularities committed by these cons, and people who grew up with them? These people know these people ain't good, but they remain silent for all these years. And because the Mark boss today are now saying they wanted to see how long it would have taken us to find out about this or these cons. Could you imagine that? Folks, the narcissistic injury and rage. When their false self is exposed, it doesn't feel like a simple correction. It feels like a catastrophic psychological attack. This triggers a narcissistic injury, which leads to intense shame and rage. Playing the victim is a way to convert this shame, a painful, powerless emotion, into anger, an empowering, outward-directed emotion. By casting themselves as the target of a bullying witch hunt, they attempt to regain a sense of control and moral high ground. They are also encouraged by the sympathy they receive from those who have a vested interest in believing them because of the outcomes of things they publish which favor them. And so they project the idea of bullying on the persistent researchers who dare uncover the facts about their man's fakeness. But who are these people who believe the stories put out by these fakes of qualifications that are beyond them? Who are they? People who are not even worth being included in a race to the outhouse. You see, by crying foul first, these cons do several things. They muddy the waters. They shift the conversation from their own fraud to the character of their accusers. This is an attempt to deter future scrutiny. They try to make it socially or professionally costly for others to question them. Who wants to be labeled a bully after all? Gaslight the audience. They make everyone question reality. Is this person really a fraud, or are they just being persecuted by jealous rivals? But then again, as Umberto Eco once said, social media has caused an invasion of idiots by giving them the same right to speak as a Nobel Prize winner. But what about projection? This is a key psychological defense, They unconsciously attribute their own malicious, deceptive, and bullying behavior to their accusers. They are not the liar. You are the liar for accusing them. They are not the one being unfair. You are being unfair for exposing them. This allows them to feel like the wronged party, even though They continue to parade as if they are all that when they are nothing at all. You see pathological lying and a fragmented sense of truth. For some, the lying is so habitual that the boundary between their fabricated reality and actual reality is blurred. They may, on some level, come to believe their own victim narrative. When confronted with evidence, they aren't facing facts. They are defending their personal self-constructed reality. But so many thinking people are inquisitive to know whether this is a mental problem. This is a crucial distinction, you know. Is it likely a personality disorder trait or a mental illness? Well, let's look at mental illness, like depression or schizophrenia. It often involves a breakdown from reality that the person finds distressing. They know they are unwell. Personality disorder, specifically traits of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, or antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, are characterized by a rigid, long-standing pattern of behavior that is ego-systonic, meaning the person sees their behavior as correct and justified. They don't think that they are a problem. No, they think you are the problem for pointing out they being the problem. It's a profound lack of insight and integrity. You see, at its core, this behavior pattern stems from an inability to integrate a realistic self-view, a crippling fear of being ordinary or inadequate, and a moral compass that is subservient to their own ego and desires. Or while you shouldn't armchair diagnose someone with narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, the pattern described to you is a classic manifestation of pathological narcissism. These individuals don't just want success. They need the admiration and status that comes with it to prop up their fragile ego. Faking is their shortcut, and playing the victim is their defense when the serious shortcut is discovered. They are not victims of the bullies who expose them. They are ultimately victims of their own pathological need for validation and their inability to confront their true selves. You see, the real tragedy is that their entire life is built around maintaining a lie, an exhausting endeavor that often ends in isolation and the very public humiliation they fear most. This is what happens when one insists on being the story. You see, on a serious note, those of us who have been around for long enough, can you answer a few questions? How long have polls in the lead up to elections been conducted in Grenada? Has any of you ever been approached by any agent of so-called pollsters to be asked your preference in political party at any stage regarding elections? How are these so-called polls conducted? Are they done by people who a con man or con woman pays to take advantage of people's general lack of paying attention with the expressed intention to induce apathy in citizens, especially independent voters, so the piper who pays them could emerge winner? Are they done by an individual who, after being discovered to be not who that individual says they are, turn around and decide in true conman style, work for the other side as revenge to get back at those who interfere with their fragile ego? If as nationals of a 51-year-old independent nation, we are not able to analyze situations to this extent, we will continue to prove ourselves unfit to truly participate in democracy indeed. After all, democracy presupposes its participants are intelligent, and intelligence prescribes one can analyze and critically think. How are we to describe a person who's been asked to tender his resignation? On the basis of, I would say, their employer has lost trust and confidence in them, which then leads that individual to agree to the terms of their separation, sign the dotted lines, receive their due compensation package, and leave a paper trail proving them to request retirement. Yet for all, this individual is all over the place after receiving their due, breaching confidentiality and bad talking their former employer. Folks, I will leave that question there with you just for the moment. Let's take our final break and we'll come back and expatiate a little bit on that.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This is Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
You're tuned to Eddie Frederick, where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Folks, so you remember that question I asked. I will ask it again just to remind you. How are we to describe a person who's been asked to tender their resignation on the basis that their employer has lost trust and confidence in them, which then leads them to agree to the terms of their separation, sign the dotted lines, receive their due compensation package, leave a paper trail proving them to request retirement. Yet for all, this individual is all over the place after receiving their due, breaching confidentiality and bad-talking their former employer. Well, that's another malady of our society as it relates to anyone who has a large opinion of themselves and whose ego precludes them from accepting that they are not to be trusted in a sensitive position, but who resorts to publicly proving their former employer totally correct for separating from them. That person is a fool and should be shunned bigly. Visionary, action-centered leadership always makes calculatedly right decisions. You see, this is a classic, and deeply frustrating scenario that seems to reveal a great deal about the individual's character, or better put, lack of character. Describing such a person requires a multi-layered approach, as their behavior spans legal, ethical, and psychological domains and goes against the very grain of them posing as a Christian. Here's a comprehensive way to describe this individual. You see, that person is a duplicitous and vindictive individual who operates in bad faith, using ego as their main engine. But what if this person is a Christian? Worse yet, they are someone who, when faced with a consequence, loss of trust, for example, strategically agreed to a dignified exit for financial gain, only to immediately reveal their true, resentful character by violating the very agreement that they benefited from. Oh, Gede, that could never be a Christian. Call name, I will whistle. A breakdown of the person's character and actions. You see, from a professional and legal standpoint, a person acting in bad faith, the core of their behavior is bad faith. They entered into a separation agreement, a legally binding contract that typically includes confidentiality and non-disparagement clauses, with no intention of honoring it. Their signature was a tactical move for the money only, probably, not a gentleman's or Christian's promise. Call name or names, I may whistle. You see, unprofessional and unethical, their actions demonstrate a profound lack of professionalism. They prioritize personal vengeance over integrity, respect, and agreements, and the norms of ethical conduct that could never be Christian. A liability. This person has proved themselves to be untrustworthy in the highest degree. Any future employer should see this pattern as a major red flag, as they have shown they will breach contracts and burn bridges when it suits them. You see, from a psychological or even character standpoint, vindictive and resentful. Their primary motivation is not justice, but retaliation. They feel wronged by the loss of trust and the subsequent request to resign and their bad talking is an attempt to inflict reciprocal damage. Lacking in integrity, their integrity is situational. They are happy to accept the benefits of an agreement, the compensation, but reject the responsibilities that come with it. Confidentiality, non-disparagement. This shows a fundamentally fractured moral compass. No amount of posing as a Christian will save them, as the karma of the Lord awaits them. A victim narcissist is a specific presentation of narcissism. They cannot tolerate the blow to their ego, and being asked to leave, oh man, that represents failure to the highest degree. To rebuild their ego, they must reframe the story. They are not the one who failed. They are the brave whistleblower or the wronged hero standing up to a corrupt employer. The paper trail they left behind can be used as weaponized proof of their fabricated narrative. They know they cannot go to court, the court of law, for the justice they say they want. Everyone know that. Everyone know that. But you see, that fabricated narrative is what they want you to believe. And so they intend to try the case in the court of public opinion. But such people are emotionally immature. They're unable to process the complex emotions of a professional setback, shame, anger, disappointment in a private, constructive way. Instead, they engage in public, destructive outbursts that ultimately harm their own reputation more than anyone else's, as they openly prove their former employer totally correct to not trust them. In fact, anyone with a modicum of sense can discern and conclude that because their partner is receiving no traction, absolutely no traction, they embark on a political smear campaign in the hopes of helping their partner's cause while diminishing their own returns. But that person is short-sighted and self-destructive. They're burning a bridge in a spectacular fashion. They've received their compensation and could have moved on with a clean slate on a positive reference, or at least a neutral one. Instead, they are ensuring they will be remembered, not for their work, but for their bitter exit, making them virtually unhireable in informed circles. Yet for all, blaming their former employer for putting them on the breadline with a family to feed. What an ass in good shape. You see, this behavior often indicates a lifelong pattern. They likely feel victimized in many situations because they refuse to take accountability for their own role in their misfortunes. So what do you call this person? In straightforward terms, you could describe them as a bad faith actor, a duplicitous individual, a vindictive and unprofessional person, someone with a profound lack of integrity, a contractual breacher, a self-serving narcissist, a totally unchristian-like charlatan. In essence, this person is the embodiment of the saying, they bit the hand that fed them and then complained about the taste. They've chosen a path of vengeance over integrity, and in doing so, have permanently defined the total lack of professional character for all who witness their actions. You see, their former employer was totally correct to adhere to their purported request of make me whole and I will go. Vision is at the heart of leadership, folks. If you remove vision from a leader, trust me, absolutely nothing left. Time for me to go. I'm in, I'm out, I'm gone. Thanks for joining. Continue to share. See you next week at the same time, same place for more extraordinary programming. Because remember, I'm the 8th day of the week. Coming to you 40 years now, consistently. So until next week, stay safe, stay well, remain vigilant, stay lifted, and stay focused. Don't let people throw you off focus. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So don't agree with people's description of you. Do not agree with people's made-up stories about you. And a form of agreeing is responding, finding the need to respond. Hell no. You know you, and just maintain your focus. Because everything that is said about you that doesn't measure up is an attempt at distraction. Folks, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. No fake profiles. You just type in my name, Edward or Eddie Frederick. Subscribe, like, and share. Be prepared to receive your mental multivitamins as directly as I deliver them. And I want to give those of you whose cage seem to be easily rattled from time to time, because I see some of you on social media blasting when people come under your posts to challenge you or to disparage you. Just do like me. Delete them. Block them. Throw them in the garbage where they belong. And when anybody calls you to tell you, look at what they say about you, start watching that person. Because for that person to have that kind of people in their feed, it tells you a lot about that person also. Hello? You see the kind of high road you need to take? Do some cleaning, do some sweeping, do some mopping with your life. Grab a larger vision of who you are as a person. And once you know who you are, don't let anybody try to take you for no fool and succeed. Good? Build yourself. And you might just become the 9th day of the week. So peace and blessings. Have a great, great, great week. Remember, it's Christmas that's coming and it's a very happy time. Take care of your family. And remember, it's very important for you to take care of you. Number one, because you've taken care of a lot of people who turn out to be just totally ungrateful. So start focusing now on you. All right? So have a great one and take care of your wonderful selves. Peace and blessings.
Want to stay informed, get educated, and feel empowered? Stay tuned where information is power.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
This has been Edification, made possible by the efforts of the Center for Democracy and Good Governance, CDGG. The Center for Democracy and Good Governance is a sound organization established to promote and strengthen democracy.
So summer special at Country Cold Store. Get ready to beat the heat with amazing deals on frozen meats and chilled products. Choose from a wide variety of top quality products available at our wholesale department and mini mart. Stock up today and enjoy unbeatable freshness and savings this summer. Call us now for more information at 440-3335. This offer is valid while stocks last.
Need a personal integrity booster shot? Your prescription is right here. Tune in with Eddie Frederick every week. Information is power.
Attention all forward-thinking companies. Sure, you can do with a continuous positive boost to your image and impact your bottom line. If you think training is expensive, try not training and you will experience a perpetual downward spiral in patronage on account of increased dissatisfied customers. Take things into your hands and engage the best at motivation and customer care training with a tried and tested track record. Visit www.efrederick.com now and learn how you can change the atmosphere in your business and improve the customer experience for everyone who does business with you. Spice Island Beach Resort and Belmont Estate are two such local entities of world renown that have benefited tremendously from ongoing customer care, social skills, and motivation training. Training changes everything for the better for any business and every team member. Enhance employee performance through increased awareness and passion for the job at hand. Greater potential in your workforce awaits you through engaged, high-energy training that works. Log on now, www.efrederick.com.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.